Hey guys.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Good. Keeping the stress level down? No.
No, it's the end of the semester. I think everyone's stressed.
Yeah, it is stressful. Yeah, hard to not be stressed right now, I think. Nathan, I just realized that you were in my 262 class at the beginning and then decided to withdraw from it. And I was really bummed when I realized that just now.
262?
Yeah.
Oh, the security systems one. Is
No,
that what it's called?
systems analysis.
Oh, okay. I think I'm taking that this coming semester.
Cool.
I switched a bunch of my classes to be online and dropped a couple of classes and switched a couple this semester just because of everything going on.
Yeah.
And my dad especially was like, that sounds like a really good class and you should definitely take that, but you should take it in person. And I was like, okay, drop that one.
I agree.
Sure.
So you know, the in-person version is way different than the online version. So
Is it okay?
yeah.
Well, I can register for classes next week, and I was planning on taking system security from you. I saw you're teaching that one.
Cool.
And then, yeah, if you're teaching that one next semester as well, and I'm taking it, I can't remember if that's on my calendar right now for next semester. But whenever I take it, I'll keep in mind that you're teaching it.
Yeah. It's fun. It's a fun class.
Sorry, I couldn't quite hear that.
It's a really fun class.
Okay, good to know. I'll keep it in mind for sure.
Yeah, I understand. A lot of people have stuff going on this semester that makes scheduling different for sure. And your dad is absolutely right. That class is way better in person than online. So
I bet it would be. So yeah, I think I probably made the right choice.
Yeah, you did.
Good to know.
The one online is just reading a book right now.
Just reading a book right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds not that fun. I was in an operating systems class at the beginning of the semester that I also dropped, partially because it was like a 370 class that I was not ready for. But that one was also pretty much just reading from the textbook and putting in answers kind of mindlessly. But it was like a lot of work, and I felt like the payoff was very little for an online class.
Oh man. Yeah, we're trying to get the 262 one so that the online is like the one on campus.
Okay.
The problem they've had is that every semester 262's changed on campus every single semester for like the last year and a half or something. And then the one online has just stayed the same. And so we have to hopefully in the next year get the online one so it's caught up. It's just not.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I'm in a class right now that is also in that kind of transition where they're just now creating an online class. And so as we're going through, they're putting the resources online. And so if I open an assignment to try to do it early, it might just like be an outline or just like not exist. Mm-hmm. And so we have to do assignments close to when they're due. We can't get ahead because of that. Which has been a little bit annoying.
Is that the scripting class, or is it?
No, that's one of my general ed classes. It's called From Atoms to Humans. It's just a science class I needed to take.
Gotcha. Cool.
But it's transitioning similarly.
Yeah. Well, welcome to class, everybody. I hope you can keep your stress level as minimal as possible. Keep in mind that rest and exercise, even though it may be tempting to cheat by, I use the word cheat loosely there, by not resting as much or not exercising as much, in the long term, you will find you're less effective and less productive. And it actually, I'll tell you from personal experience, because the last week I have not gotten enough rest or exercise. And I found myself to be less effective in general. And for the people in my life, like my wife and kids, I've been less energetic. And I just realized yesterday on Sunday, I was thinking, gosh, my body is a temple. What am I doing to it? And I need to give it more care than I'm giving it so that my spirit can be happier. And it's funny because it's always deceptive. You feel like, oh gosh, I shouldn't be sleeping right now. I could be staying up late studying, or I shouldn't be exercising. I've got so much work to do. If you put in the investment, it actually can like double or more your productivity in the time that you are awake or the time that you're not exercising. Just encourage you to take care of yourselves and don't lose track like I did of what's going on. So do we have, I know we do actually, we have someone sign up for the spiritual thought today. Does the person whose thought it is know that it's their turn? And if so, can you tell me?
Not positive, but it may actually be me.
Okay, awesome.
And all right. I didn't have anything prepared in particular, but during my studies this week, I've been wondering a lot, and I think some of us are getting kind of antsy about signs and comings of the last days, and I think we're in them, and that's scary for a lot of people, myself included. And I think we can all kind of take hope that most of us are doing the right thing. And anyway, one thing that I had noticed and read in my studies is personal revelation is really important, and we should all be striving to receive personal revelation often and regularly and clearly. And a way to do that and a way to help that is to make sure that we're emphasizing things that we're grateful for in our prayers, especially. The Lord wants to bless us, and the Lord can bless us, and He'll continue to bless us. But when we express gratitude to Him, He recognizes that we see the ways that we're being blessed. And so taking time in your mornings and especially in your evenings, in your prayer, to go through your day and think of ways that you've seen the Lord's hand and recognize them explicitly with Him. And I know that as you do that, you can receive more personal revelation, and you will know more clearly what to do in your lives. I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Nathan. That's a good thought. I agree with that. Did I have someone give the opening prayer for us?
I could say it if you'd like.
Great. Thank you.
Dear Heavenly Father, we're grateful for this day, and we're grateful we can meet together as a class. Please bless that our minds will be open to everything that we need to learn today, and that we'll be able to remember everything we learn as well. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Josh Fullmer. I always call Josh Fullmer because in the 262 class, we have 3 Joshes. I don't need to call you that in this class, but it's a habit now.
That's okay. That's my name.
So Josh Fullmer, do you mind sharing with us? Josh is he's volunteered, or I've asked him to, he's voluntold, I guess, to share with us a high level overview of what a difference between a server and a computer is. And the reason we're going over this is we use a lot of servers in this class, but I think sometimes we don't really, some of the basic concepts get lost. And so I thought we should go back to the basics for a little bit today.
Yeah, no problem. I'm going to pull up a diagram here.
Great.
All right, this will just be very simple, because I don't know how complicated we need to get for this particular class.
Yeah.
But the difference between a computer and a server is that, well, I guess when I say the term server, most people would think of an actual machine. That's not necessarily the case. A server is more like a job of a machine.
Or a process, you could call it that, maybe.
Yeah. So like an individual computer could be a server. Wouldn't be a very good one, but it could be. And then there's dedicated machines that are a server. But just a server is like a piece of hardware or software that provides a service to something called clients. So you see here on the left, a client can be anywhere from a personal computer to, work machine, your smartphone. These are all pulling and giving data to a server. So the device that's running the server, I believe it's called a host. Is that correct? Or is
Yeah.
that something else?
Yeah.
Okay. That serves data to clients. Like I said, personal computers can be a server, but they're not exactly built for it. I think the important thing to remember about servers is that because they're being accessed by so many different devices, they need to run 24/7, and because of that, they need like fail safes, I guess. So a machine that's better made for serving would have fail safes in power, memory, etc. Something like that. In another class, we've started using the word GUI. I don't know if you've heard that before, but it's GUI. It stands for Graphical User Interface, and that's usually something that makes a computer more user-friendly, something that normal people can use. So if you think about your operating system, you use Windows or Mac, it tends to be very user-friendly. Linux, if you've ever used that, it's less user-friendly, and servers tend to need less. What's a good way to say this? Less user-friendly interfaces. Is that a good? I don't know.
Yeah.
Better way to say that?
No, that's good.
No, there's really no need for that, and so it tends to run. I'd say Linux for the most part, but honestly, it can run any. I think it can run any OS. Just the GUI or the interface isn't necessarily important to a server. And I guess that's kind of the main difference between a computer and a server. One's user-friendly and built for personal use. The other one needs to be up all the time, and it's not necessarily as user-friendly. I think those are the two major differences.
That's great. Thank you. Does anyone have questions for Josh?
So a server would be like a command line interface, usually, based on that.
Yeah, that's how you'd interact with the server, right?
And the host is the person that owns the server. Is that right? Or
The host would be the server machine.
oh,
So if
okay.
if my computer was running the service, and your phone or something was connected to my computer, accessing data from there, my computer would be the host, not me. Does that make any sense?
Sure. So the host is the server.
Yeah.
They're
Okay.
synonymous.
So how
Gotcha.
uncommon is it for a server to actually have no GUI other than the command line interface?
That's a good question. Brother Murdoch would work with more servers than I have.
Windows servers almost all have regular desktop interface. And so any Windows server, pretty much you would just see what you're used to seeing on your computer if you run Windows. And it acts exactly the same in most respects when you log into it. So for a lot of people who are new, Windows servers are really, really easy to work with. There's some downsides, of course, like licensing for Windows can be very expensive, and cloud hosting can often be a lot more expensive. Like we're talking like quadruple the cost for the same machine just because of licensing. That's why a lot of companies steer over to Linux because it's a lot cheaper.
Right. I was going to say, don't most servers run on Ubuntu nowadays? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know of very many Windows servers.
Yeah, most servers run Linux and most Linux servers run Ubuntu. You can actually install a desktop on an Ubuntu server, and I've done it just recently, so that it acts more like a desktop computer. So that's kind of handy if you're preferring a desktop UI.
Could you
Okay, that's good to
dedicate
know.
your could you dedicate your own computer to be a server and use that for like a website or something? Or do you have to pay for that?
That's a great question. So what do you guys think the pros and cons would be to using your own computer to host a website? This is a discussion we had in another class. I think it's really a good discussion to have.
Well, you don't have as much CPU power or like storage as you probably would want in a server, right? Would those be the main two big ones?
Ironically, nowadays, most people's computers are as powerful as most servers. So you probably have the same number of cores or more on your computer than you do on most servers. And then
So then oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just going to ask what's like the recommended core count and speed for a server then? Obviously it depends on the size of the server and what they're running on it, but
yeah, it really, really just depends on what you're doing. Nowadays, there's a big preference for smaller servers. At least that's the trend that I'm noticing. So there's a term called scaling up, and then there's a term called scaling out. Scaling out means adding more smaller servers or containers. And scaling up means making your server bigger. And scaling up, you're always going to hit an upper bound because you can only find a server so big this way. With adding more memory and more cores, you're going to eventually max out. And that one server is going to get really expensive when you hit the top. On the other hand, the smaller servers are usually very cheap and easy to come by. And adding another one and another one is pretty much something you can keep on doing forever as long as you don't run out of money and space.
I think a con for having your personal computer be the server is that the website will only be on if your computer is on. If you shut it off, then nobody can access the website.
Yes.
That's huge. That's very important.
Yes.
I'd also add memory. Your computer needs to handle the amount of traffic that's, I don't know, it's coming and going.
Yeah.
So that's another thing to keep in mind.
And you say you were using your computer to stream YouTube to your own to watch YouTube, and at the same time you had a sale on your website. So you send out an email, send 100,000 emails, and maybe 500 of them click on it at the same time, and you're watching YouTube. What could be the consequences of that?
Well, your connection's going to be a little bit late, so they'll probably experience slowdowns with people using your services.
Good, Jeremy. Why would they have that slowdown?
Well, YouTube is going to be sucking a lot of data, and
Yeah,
I mean,
that's right. So a nice thing about a server is you can kind of say, okay, you have a specific job. It's like hiring an employee if you're a business owner. You have a specific job. This is what you're paid to do. Now go do it. And if you're on break, that's one thing. But if you're not on break, you need to do your job. And that's how servers are. You buy a server, you set up a server. It's not there for watching YouTube, right? It's there for customer traffic. So then if people come to it, it's there ready to do its job. If you're making it act like a computer or making your computer act like a server, you're kind of confusing the purpose of that machine, and you're potentially misusing it on one side or the other because you're going to have conflicting purposes for what you're doing.
I know if machines are left on for like extended periods of time, they can sometimes have issues. For servers, do they like restart them every so often, or do they have like another server that they switch to, or do they just leave them on for really, really, really long periods of time?
Does anyone know the answer to that? That's a great question.
I actually do. Where we work, we have to have our servers up 100% of the time because we monitor for burglar and fire alarms. And so we often have redundant servers. So if something were to happen to one server, it would automatically kick all the traffic over to a second server with maybe a 5 to 10 second interval delay. And then after that, we're right back up and running.
Great. What do we call that? Mike, what does your work call that? The ability for your computer, your servers to switch over automatically. Is there a term that they use for that at work?
The only term that I've heard is just the redundancy.
Good. Yeah, redundancy. So there's more than one. Have you guys heard the term high availability? HA is the term that's often used, HA. High availability just means your servers are constantly there and running, and you have failover, automatic load balancing of network traffic, all of that stuff. Thanks, Mike, for answering that question. Cool. So talking about networks and servers and computers and the difference between them. If I have a computer and I want to connect to a server, let's talk for a minute about some concepts there that might be useful. So I'm going to open another thing here. Back in the day, when computers were mainly mainframes, there came this thing was invented called a mini computer. It's really ironic now because those mini computers were very large. And so I'm just going to share kind of a little thing that's helped me understand what network ports are. So this diagram shows a mini computer. And let's see if I can get this a little bit bigger. There. Okay. This was also similar with larger mainframe computers, but mini computers were a revolutionary concept. So previously, a mainframe would cost at least $1 million. And you can imagine, as a small business owner starting a new business, having $1 million in cash was pretty unlikely. So what would happen usually is small business owners would purchase something called a mini computer. And this mini computer would do all the same things as a mainframe, but it was very, very affordable comparatively, usually less than $100,000, which is a lot of money to spend on a server, especially in today's world. But back then it was seen as very affordable. In order to set up a user in your office on the mini computer, what would be involved is some soldering and setting something called a dumb terminal on the end user's desk. So the dumb terminal was basically like a television. It would display whatever information was sent to it over a wire. And so they would solder the wire to the back of the dumb terminal, and then they would also solder it over here to the mini computer on one of the various ports. Now these are
I have
not
a quick question.
Yes.
So is that like how an Ethernet port would work, except it's being soldered? Because that sounds really horrible.
It's actually, that's a great question. This is not a network cable. It's just a solid copper wire. So it's just one copper wire. Have you ever cut a network cable or seen what it looks like through the little plastic? There's how many pairs in there? How many twisted pairs?
There's 8, right?
Yeah, 8 or 16, something like that. It's probably 8 twisted pairs that make 16 or something like that. I can't remember, but it's more than one, definitely. So yeah, so this was just a solid copper wire with some insulation on it until it got to the end. And that's all it was. And so it would just pass over very, very simple communications back and forth. The user would have a keyboard, and I don't remember if those were over the same copper wire or a separate one. And if anyone knows, feel free to jump in. But this was the basic idea. This was your network back in the mini days. So when I logged in on a dumb terminal, you can see something that's a little bit strange for most of us, but we're not used to. So when I log into a website, I'm used to providing a username, I'm used to providing a password, and I'm also used to that when logging into a server. However, providing this third field is a little bit strange. So this port number, when logging in, was actually very important. So the port number was a way of designating a channel of network traffic to a specific user. And so when logging in, the user would either have a default port, which is pretty much usually what happened, or if they switch desks. So say Beth were to go to Jane's desk for the afternoon for whatever reason, then what would happen is when she logged in, Beth would need to change her port number when she logged in and provide port number 5, because actually she's over here. So we'll change it like this. So why do you think that would be important for her to provide that port number when she logged in over at Jane's desk? Any ideas?
Because it wouldn't connect otherwise, I guess.
Is it because there was a lack of routing and switching back then? You were just directly connected straight to the computer?
Yeah, that's right. Very good. There was no switching or routing of any kind. You were just saying, this is me, here's the port I'm plugged into, and from now on, make sure everything that happens on port 5 comes to my terminal. So the computer is going to be doing processing for multiple users, and the computer, the mini computer, needs a way of knowing what graphical display to send to which terminal. And so the numbers were a way of dividing up that traffic amongst the various users. Good. Okay, so now let's fast forward to a modern architecture. Okay. And in this setup, I have a computer that is set up hooked to a switch with a Cat5 cable or Cat6 cable. And notice there are no port numbers. However, there actually are some port numbers. Does anyone know where I should draw the port numbers on the screen? You can draw it if you want, or you can tell me where to draw it.
On the switch, or would it be on the server?
Yeah, both. So the switch has ports, right? So over here, it has ports. All of these are ports, right? And they're numbered. On the outside, if you look at the switch, you'll see numbers in here like 1. On the actual device, you'll see, I think on a lot of them you will, at least, maybe not all. Those port numbers are relatively insignificant. They don't really mean much. Position has very little relevance on a switch. It's basically you're plugged in or you're not plugged in. And so the physical layer there, as far as position and port position, is less relevant on a switch than it was in the other architecture we just looked at. So yeah, and then on the server, what port numbers are there over here that might have some significance? Oops. How about when I go to my browser, I go to a browser and on this computer, and I put in a URL up here, like, let's see, youtube.com, and it automatically fills it in to this https://youtube.com. Is there a port on the server when I connect to youtube.com? What is the port when I connect to youtube.com? What port number is it?
So like a general website port? I don't remember what it is.
Yeah. So there's two ports we use for web traffic, typically, and the ports are 80 and 443. And what is port 80 for?
HTTP.
Good. And how about 443?
HTTPS.
Good. Cool. So we use ports now on the server to designate a mode of communication, right? So it's basically a protocol. So ports have come to have a very different use than they used to, but I just thought it would be fun to talk about that history because it's something, ironically, I've lived through it, if you can believe that or not. So it's kind of fun.
So wait, how does YouTube exactly play into this?
Say again?
How does YouTube exactly play into this again?
Okay, so if I go in my browser and I type youtube.com, then what's your browser's going to pull up this one, right? https://youtube.com. So the question then was, well, is there a port involved in that request to YouTube? Is there a port number in that request? And the answer is yes, there is. There's a protocol port, which is port 443, or a TCP port 443. So that port tells the server, I'd like to talk over an encrypted channel. And most servers out there on the web, if you request traffic over 80, which is what I just demonstrated, will actually upgrade your connection automatically to 443.
So 443 is HTTPS?
Correct.
Oh, and HTTP is 80.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Good.
Yeah, this is kind of cool. So any questions on that? That was a fun discussion, guys. You guys are a fun class to teach. I love it. I love teaching you guys. Do you have any other questions though? Because you can ask questions. It's completely fair.
Would I be right to assume that the actual videos from YouTube would come through a different port?
That's a great question. No, it's the same port.
Okay.
So the way network traffic works is a little bit, I've oversimplified it. What happens is there are actually two ports involved in your communication. So there's something called a random port, which is chosen for the response traffic. And that's a little more in depth, but when you're looking at your browser, all of that data going over the browser to YouTube are over an SSL connection. So it's all encrypted. So you're getting the YouTube frames that are coming down on the web stream are all coming over an encrypted channel. Good question. Anything else? Okay, so let's see, what time is it? 2:30. Let's see, somebody sent a comment. Oh, yeah, Chandler Johnson. Do you want to share something?
Oh yeah, I was just saying for work, I manage some networks and put them together. And so if you wanted to see real life example, I have some that I could show.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Let's see. So this is kind of a network we have. We use Cisco Meraki equipment. It's full of just switches, firewall, wireless access points. and you can kind of just see how all the IP addresses and everything work together. I don't know what would be helpful to look at here, but
Does anyone have any questions about the network that Chandler manages?
if not, it's totally cool. It's just,
Well, we were talking about switches and having ports. If you look at your switch, there you go. That's a great diagram. So it does keep
This is
track.
from Cisco.
yep.
So is this your actual port, or is this one you've made with like Tracer?
This is a network I built down in Texas that I manage. So,
Oh,
yep.
that's cool. It's still out there?
What was that?
Is it still out in Texas?
Yep. Yeah. It's still running. I got a couple. So I got a bunch here.
That's
The
cool.
networks. So I don't know if it shows you the traffic that's going through, but anyways. Maybe that'll be helpful. Anyways, kind of cool.
Did we lose you?
I'm still here. I just didn't know if you guys wanted to see that still, or if we should move on. So,
Oh, I think we lost Brother Murdoch.
oh, got it. Yeah, I was so confused. I'm like, do you want me to stop sharing? Do you have questions?
Must have bad connection.
Sure, I'll be back. Hello.
Hey, sorry guys. My computer just totally pegged its CPU while we were meeting, and so here I am. I'm back. I appreciate you all staying and not leaving. Thank you.
I was close. That's good.
I figured I had to do a reboot, and it took longer than I thought. Okay, that was great, Chandler, and thank you for sharing. I was able to see a lot of the stuff you were sharing. I couldn't hear, but it looked like you had some great stuff to share, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem.
So today we're going to go over, and if there's any other questions or comments, feel free to jump in. But we're going to go over something called packet tracing today, or some people call it packet sniffing, and some people may have refer to it in a negative way that may make it sound like it's bad or unethical or something like that. If you are capturing packets from your own network, it is not unethical to do that. So just keep in mind that following the Holy Ghost is the best way to know if you're doing something that's ethical or not. And what I say is far less important than following the Spirit. You will find that some people, if they see you running Wireshark, they may want to know what you're doing. That's the tool we're going to use today. And so just be used to that, especially if you're in a work environment. Some people use Wireshark in a way that is not appropriate. And so if you're using it at work, just keep in mind, have a reason that you're using it. And if you don't have a good reason, you probably shouldn't be using it. And that's probably the best way to stay out of hot water.
Yeah, I'm actually not using my own computer. Should I not use that?
Is it a family member's computer?
No, this is a library computer.
Okay, yeah. You can try it when you get yours back. That's
I'm
my
gonna get it on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. I'm getting mine tomorrow, but today I don't have it. So.
Cool. Yeah, no worries. This is a
So I'll
fun
probably
thing to
just.
do. What's that?
Should I just watch the other guys use it then?
You just watched what?
Should I use the other guys use it in the group?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
So I've just put a link in the chat window, and that gives some information on Nginx and Wireshark. We've used Nginx a lot, but I think we're going to use it in a different way today than we've used it so far. So, and just in case we've used it a bunch without ever explaining it, Nginx is a web server, and it's very popular. It's probably one of the most popular web servers out there. So in some point in your career, you probably will get a chance to use it again. So what we're going to do first, I'm going to share my screen here. We are going to go download Nginx to our actual workstation, to our computers. So I am looking at this document that I just put into the chat window. And here is the download link for Nginx. And you're going to go to that link. Now, if you're on Windows, there's a Windows download for it here. If you are not on Windows, there is a different way. So I think you can use the one to the left. If you use Brew, if you're on the Mac, I usually just do Brew install Nginx, and that works pretty well too. Okay, so let's follow the Windows path for a second. See if we can. Oh boy, I'm going to need a volunteer that we can follow along with today. It looks like my VM is kaput. Who wouldn't mind sharing their screen while we do a Windows installation? Can I have a volunteer that we could follow along with today?
Good volunteer. That's all right.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex.
Oh.
Okay, so there's a mainline version, and right below that, there's a link that says Nginx Windows 1 1.19.
Is it like this one right
Yeah.
here?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. All right.
And if you could click on that and download it.
Hopefully my internet connection's not too slow today.
Yeah, it looks fine. So if just follow along, guys, go ahead and download Nginx, if you would.
Did you say that there's not a download on this website for Mac
Mac?
or Linux?
I believe the one to the left is for Mac or Linux. The one that just, so there's the mainline version, Nginx Windows 1.19. If you go 2 links to the left, you'll see a link that is just for Nginx 1.19.1.
What if we have a Mac?
Yeah, I'll put the link into the chat for Mac. Hold on one second. Copy link address. So that's the link for the Mac. And that's called a tarball. So when we download it, there will be a nifty way of extracting it. So the command
We need to
for
get that
Mac
specific
is
version.
tar. Sorry, was someone saying something?
Oh, do we need to get that specific version?
No.
No.
Any version will work.
So I have it downloaded. Do I need to open up Terminal and type something in? Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm pulling you in multiple different directions here.
Nope, you're good. So if you do cd downloads and then do tar minus xzvf and then the file name, I'm putting that in here. Whatever the name of the tar file is, then that should extract it to a folder.
So we're doing that on a computer, not on the server we created on Google Cloud.
Correct. If you're running a
Okay.
Mac. If you're running Windows, it's different. So Alex is doing what we're doing for Windows, so just follow along with him if you're running Windows. So let's see, Alex, your download completed, it looks like.
Yes.
You go to your downloads folder, if that's where your download goes to.
Sure. Okay.
Awesome. And then if you could find that file, there it is, and right click and say extract all, please. And then click extract. Oops, let's hit cancel. Oh, yeah, there you go. You're selecting a destination. Good job. Sorry to tell you to stop. You were doing a good thing.
Oh, good.
Perfect.
Here it
There.
is.
Okay, now what we're going to want to do is cd to this folder in the command prompt. So that's the folder that it got extracted to. So for each of us, that will be different. For some, it's the downloads folder. For some, it's this folder, and that's just fine. So what you want to do is get to it like this, where Alex is, so you can see it in the File Explorer. And then if you could, Alex, click the bar that has the file path in it. See that white bar there in the middle? Yeah, click that if you would. Just with your mouse. Yeah, there you go. Copy address. There you go. Or you can right click and copy it, either one. So now you can see the full path and he's copied that. Now if you could go to the command prompt, please. Perfect. And then if you could cd to that, cd space, and then paste that in there. Perfect. And then enter. Now if you could do dir here.
Just TIR?
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. So you can see an nginx.exe. So that's the file we're looking for. So we're going to type nginx. That's it. And then enter. And on a Mac, you would cd to the folder that got extracted. And then you would just type nginx. So it's pretty similar.
So I just type Nginx.
Yeah, that's it. And so now it's actually running. So you can see that the cursor's blinking and it's not coming back to the command line. That's a sign that it's actually working.
I was getting worried there for a second.
Yeah. Thanks, Alex. Can we just pause there? And Alex, could you keep it up just in case we have questions? I appreciate your help today. I was all ready to do Windows and it didn't work out. Okay, who's stuck now?
Could I do mine and share the screen so that way I can represent Max and take care of mine?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so let's see. Please visit. Okay, now file name is just an example. Now, if you are in downloads, do that. Go ahead and hit enter and do ls.
ALS?
Just ls. List is what it stands for. Yeah, like that. No colon. Mhm. And now let's see in here, I'm guessing, let's do this. ls space pipe. Do you know the pipe symbol? It's just,
No.
okay, right above the return key, if you hold shift and hit the key right above it. That's the pipe. Perfect. Space,
Okay.
grep, grep, space, nginx, nginx.
NGINX.
Perfect. Enter. Okay, perfect. So you've got a tarball, which is the second file, and then you've also got the extracted folder, which is the one above it. So you can see nginx 1.19.1, and you can see nginx 1.19.1.tar.gz.
I'm sorry, could you explain this really simply? What is a tarball again? I remember reading about it, but I forgot what it means.
So a
It's a
tarball,
tar file,
go ahead.
something special about a tar archive file, right?
So tars are non-compressed, at least my understanding, as a tar is not compressed. So a tar is kind of like a zip file that's not compressed. And a
It's
tar ball,
archived though, right?
say again?
It is archived though, right? Tar
It is
files?
an archive. Yeah, so it
Yeah.
puts everything in a directory into one file.
Mhm.
And so a tar is usually a lot bigger than a tarball. So usually it's better to put it into a tarball because it's actually zipped and compressed. Zipping and
Oh,
compressing are two different things.
gotcha. So a tarball is when you zip it and compress it using like gzip or something like that.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, good question. So Jacob, and I'm probably calling you Jacob when you go by Jake, sorry. Is that right?
Yeah. What's up?
You go by Jake?
Yeah, I do. Jake preferably.
So Jake, on your screen, you have the Nginx 1.19.1, which is the extracted version. If you want to get that from here, let's just go, if you don't mind, do it again. So you type tar dash, or sorry, space dash xzvf, just like you did before.
XCVF?
V like zebra, V like Victor, F like file. And you'll use this all the time. Anytime you extract a tarball on a Linux machine, it's the same exact command. So tar-xzvf space, and then see that file name up there that has the tar.gz in it? You want to type that file name or copy and paste it. So it's the nginx-1.19.1.tar.gz. Do you see it up there in your terminal? from when you typed the.
Yeah, I see it. Engine.
Yeah.
Nginx dash 1 point. Like that. Can you see that?
Yeah, and you need a dot where the cursor is,
Dot where the cursor is.
where the space is. So it's space tar.gz. You want a dot tar.gz.
Dot tar.
Absolutely. There you go. Hit enter.
Oh, geez.
That's it. It worked.
Wow.
So now if you cd nginx, and there's a trick. So cd like dog, change directory. Change directory space nginx and hit tab. There you go.
Ah, clever.
Yeah, we love that one. Hit enter. And then ls for list. And you will see in here. Oh, this is the source. Lovely. This is not the binary version. Hold on 1 second. Okay, let's do break and I'll find you guys the right one. Sorry, I gave you the wrong one. This is the one that you build from source, which we don't really, at least I think that's what it is. Let's have our break.
So, sorry, I was just going to say, do you want us to just delete that file off of our computer?
Let me just look into it. I'm not sure yet. And I'll let you know. So
okay,
you can have a 10-minute break. And when you get back, I'll have the answer. Okay, see you guys soon. I love that countdown. That was really cool.
I was gonna say, where did that sound come from?
You need an official buzzer.
You're the official buzzer? Okay.
Well, that's your programming assignment. For those of you who are up for a challenge this summer, is write a web page that does the countdown and then does an official buzzer sound at the end.
Only problem is I can't do JavaScript. And I think for the buzzer, you need JavaScript.
Yeah, I bet you could find a guy online who would show you how to do it. Google it, and I bet someone's already.
Yeah, probably.
Can you
could
send
do
us
that.
the MP3 file of your voice doing the alarm? We need that.
Yes.
I don't think so. Jacob, are you with us? Or Jake, sorry.
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, sorry.
No, you're good. Thanks for the countdown screen. Okay, so we're gonna go back to yours, but I just wanted to answer a question for Jaren. So Jaren asked, when I enter the dollar Nginx, it says dollars not recognized. So the dollar symbol in instructions is usually just a symbol for the command prompt. So you only would enter the things that come after the dollar sign on the instructions. Does that
Okay.
help, Jaren?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Good question. And then Jake, could you share your screen?
Yeah, I can do that.
Cool. So I think we're gonna have a different path. So you guys can delete the folders that you downloaded. And so if you want to cd space ... Jake, that'll get you out of this folder. That's like saying go up. Perfect. Now, do you have Brew installed, Jake? Homebrew or Brew?
Probably not.
Okay, I've updated the document. So if you look at it, there are the first step in the document for Macs is if you don't have Homebrew installed, run this command. Could you copy that command and paste it into the terminal?
Sure. Is that in the chat?
It's in the Google Doc that's linked to in the chat. It's the first link in the chat.
Okay. Packet tracing, Wireshark, Nginx.
Yeah, so see where it says Mac instructions for installing, running Nginx?
Okay.
It's that first command there.
Okay. And then let's see. Here, I'll share my screen.
Great. You're sharing your terminal. Okay.
Okay. So let's go English, search Homebrew.
See that install Homebrew right below that? There's that big long command. That's what you want. Perfect. And this should be your password you use to log into your Mac. Okay.
This will install all that. Okay.
Yeah. And
Hit
Brew is
return.
really handy. You can use it to install all kinds of stuff. So it's worth it.
Okay. So that's done.
It's still running.
Yep.
It'll take probably like a minute. The main point of Brew is to give you a way of installing a lot of different packages that are available for Linux. But it gives you the option of installing them on your Mac, which is nice. While that's installing, how many people are going to be on campus next semester?
I am.
Cool.
I will be as well.
Awesome.
I'm waiting to hear if they have Latin dance.
If they have what?
If they're going to do Latin dance. I'm guessing they're not, so I'm probably going to just stick it here in Utah for next
Say
semester.
it one more time. They're going to do what?
Latin dance.
Oh, Latin dance. Ah, I see.
The one in Ochoa's or the one on campus?
On campus, he says. Now, Kathy, can you tell us what is Ochoa's? What does that mean?
It's a place on like close to the subway, and they do Latin dancing from like 10 to midnight or something like that, or 1 a.m. or something like that on Fridays, and it's a lot of fun. I don't go to the school one, I go to the other one.
And their food is pretty bomb too.
I've never tried their food, but I should.
It's by the Subway sandwich place. Oh,
yeah.
I've eaten their food. Yeah, it's right next door, right?
Down by the roundabout.
Yep, right there next to ice.
I'll be honest, I was a little disappointed with their enchiladas. I didn't think they were like superb. So, but that's just me. Has anyone else eaten there? It sounded like someone else had a better experience than I did. My daughter got a burrito that had French fries in it. It's like called the Cali something burrito. It was pretty good. She liked her burrito.
Oh, I thought you meant it had French fries on accident.
No, it was supposed to. But on the menu, it said with French fries, and she thought it would be outside of the burrito, but it was inside of the burrito.
I don't. Well, is that a disappointment or is that a blessing in disguise? I think it's a blessing.
I think so. But they have good service. I was impressed with their service. I think you're almost done, Jake. Sorry, it's taken longer than 1 minute. And this will be a handy thing to have later, trust me. You'll have some other teacher that'll say, do you have Brew installed? And you'll say, yeah, I do. And then you can just use it. Okay, now the moment of truth, Brew install Nginx. And there's 2 L's in install. There you go. Space and then Nginx. Perfect. You don't need the numbers, just like that. Yeah. Okay. The default port has been set to 8080. So that's important, right? We talked about earlier ports that normally web traffic goes on what port normally if it's not encrypted?
80.
Not encrypted runs on 80.
Yes. So this is called a non-standard port. A non-standard port means it's not following the standard port numbering scheme, and that's really common on your computer because to run ports under 1,000 requires root privileges or admin privileges. And so what it's explaining here is it's set it to use 8080 so you don't have to be root to run it. So that's pretty normal to do on your own computer. Okay, so now Jake, can you type just Nginx enter? That looks good. Now, can you type in your browser, can you type localhost :8080? Localhost, all one word. You got a colon between local and host. Yeah, put it in your browser bar too, not in the Google search. So go localhost :8080. So close. Just put the colon in between the word localhost and
local and host.
Here, I'll put it in your.
So what does it look like? Sorry.
No worries. Okay. I'm gonna put it.
Localhost :8080. Colon in between 8080 and.
And I put it in the chat window too, for you. Sweet. Okay, you're in business. Anybody have questions on the Mac setup?
Is it possible to change the name of our server?
The name, meaning, what do you mean by the name?
Like our website name for the server?
Oh yeah. So that's there's two things you need for that, Stefan. You need a domain. You need to buy a domain, and then you need to have hosting.
Isn't this technically hosting it though, or no?
What's that?
Isn't the server technically hosting it?
Well, yeah. If you're running it on Google Cloud, but we're running it on our own computer right now. So you'd need to have something like Google Cloud, what we've been doing in class a lot, how you all have a server. If you go get a server from any hosting company, you can do all the stuff we've been doing. So there's your hosting, right? So you need two things. You need hosting, and then you need a domain name. So if you get your domain name and you point it to the IP address of your server, then you're done. That's it.
Okay. I'm just wondering why are domain names usually so expensive, like hundreds or thousands of dollars?
So most of them, if they're not being parked on by someone else, they usually cost like $12 a year. But if somebody bought your domain and then is trying to make money off it, they call that a parked domain, which means someone is basically holding ransom for that domain. And it's not a good idea to buy one of those. So if it costs more than $12, don't do it.
More than $12. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, good question. Okay, how about for Windows? Let's see. I think Alex got his running. Is anybody stuck on Windows?
So after I download Nginx, is there something I'm supposed to do before I go to the command prompt?
Or just extract the zip file.
Yeah, I extracted the zip file.
Okay.
But then I copied the whatever it's called, the pathway.
And
then how am I supposed to open it in the command prompt now?
So now just go to a command prompt on Windows. So to get to a command prompt, you just type CMD. I put that
Can I not use the Cloud Shell one?
No.
Okay. I think that might be my problem then, because that's what I've been trying to use.
Yeah, so the Cloud Shell is actually running in a Linux server in the cloud, and you downloaded this to your own computer. So those are two different machines.
So
that's a really good question.
So did I do like CD and then paste the path in?
Yes.
Okay.
I know that gets confusing.
Oh, hold on. Okay, let me just. It's not my copy anymore, so I gotta recopy that, and then. It makes sense though. I just didn't realize that.
Yeah, a lot of times it's hard to tell what's running on your computer and what's running somewhere else. Especially with nifty tools like Cloud Shell, they make it so easy you can't even tell that you're on the server.
So once I'm in that in the directory, what am I supposed to do here?
So then do a dir, enter, and look for nginx.exe. Do you see that?
Yes.
Perfect. Then just type nginx, enter, and that'll start it up.
Okay. And then I just allow it access and
Yeah, and then on the firewall prompt, give it access to your local network. Check that box. I should put that on the instructions.
okay. So how do I know if it's running?
Go to the browser and type localhost, enter.
And it should give me welcome to Nginx.
Yes.
Okay, got it. We're good.
Great. Is anyone stuck? Okay. If you are, you can tell me. We'll fix it. Okay, can I have a volunteer to install and run Wireshark? Could be a Mac or Windows, doesn't really matter.
I can do that.
Great.
All right, you want me to share my screen?
Yes, please.
Can do.
Thanks.
All right.
Okay, so there should be a link in the document to get to the Wireshark page.
Right here.
Yes. Oh,
This one?
this looks like I did something wrong.
Yeah, it looks like maybe I did something wrong, but
okay, just if
whatever
you
it is.
In the document, if you go back to the document and then click on the URL. Okay, you copied it without the L. That's all you did.
Oh, is that what?
Yeah. Put the L on the end and
There you go. There we go. Sorry.
You're good. So if you're Windows, you click the 64-bit. If you're Mac, you click Mac OS. And then allow. There will be many opportunities for you to use Wireshark in your career. Anytime the server you're talking to is not acting quite right and you have no idea why, it's a good idea to do some package sniffing if you can to try and figure it out.
All right, it's downloaded.
Great. Let's click on that file. And in Windows, you're going to click on the setup exe file or the exe file, which is an installer in Windows. And in Windows, just accept all the defaults. Just keep going next, next, next until it's done. Okay, now there's a README first, Nathan. You'll want to look at that. Let's open that up. Before you begin, in order to be able to capture packets, install the Chamod BPF package. Okay, let's click that. Oh, but below the Chamod installer writes to the following locations. Oh, starts up, writes the following. Okay. Okay, so on the prompt to install that we were just looking at that you just minimized, I think there's several packages. Yeah, so drag that or double click it. Which one? Yeah.
Double click it or drag it into applications?
I don't know. Let's try
This is the part of macOS that I don't like.
Yeah, installing stuff's weird. What happens if you double click it? Anything?
It's opening something.
let's do this. Yeah, go ahead. Install.
Go ahead and install.
Yes. Password. Sweet. Okay. That's fine. You can move it.
Installer.
Okay, okay, so can you scroll up here?
Yeah.
And drag the Wireshark. To install Wireshark. Okay, now we can do Wireshark, I think.
Okay. That little installer page went away though.
Oh. Okay.
Probably just reopen it opening this.
Yeah. And then just drag Wireshark over.
That should be it, right? Oh, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think I did it.
Awesome. So now if you just do Command Space and then type Wireshark.
Oh, in terminal?
Do you ever use Command Space to go to the Finder? Or whatever?
Right here, the Spotlight search.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
No worries.
Yes, if you type Wireshark here, it should find it. There you go. First one. I'm praying this works. I did mine the wrong way, I think. Open? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't care.
I think I didn't do the Chamod BPF was my mistake. Okay, now so when you get to this point in Windows or a Mac, the steps are going to be very, very similar. There's one difference. Now where it says apply a filter, a display filter, there's a bar at the top. We're going to type something in there. So the filter is going to be tcp.port equals 8080. Now that's for Macs. If it's Windows, it should be 80.
Should I go ahead and hit enter?
Yeah, and then actually I think you don't have to click enter. I think you just click capture on the menu bar at the top.
Which one? I'm sorry.
It's your Mac capture menu at the very top.
Oh, up here, capture.
Yeah. And then click start. Oh, sweet. It's working. Okay.
I don't know what any of this is. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
These are packets.
Okay.
These are all IP addresses, right?
Yeah, that's right. So you can see source, destination, protocol, length. And so we're going to have to add another filter because there's a lot of stuff going over port 8080 apparently.
Okay.
Or maybe not. Maybe the filter's not applied. Try hitting enter, Nathan. Ah, very good. So if you hit enter, it starts filtering, which is very helpful, as you can tell. So if you go back to the browser and do localhost :8080 and then enter. Good. Now let's go back to Wireshark. Something's not right. Didn't work. I'm trying to figure out what we missed here. You brought up Nginx. Welcome to Nginx. TCP port equals 8080. Pretty sure that's the right filter. Anyone have any luck with Windows? With TCP port equals 80?
Apparently, Derek Miller's having problems. I'm not sure. I can't use it.
Mine gave no results when I used it.
Did you hit enter on yours, Derek?
I did hit enter. I also tried it with it blank. Either way, it didn't show anything besides what is now on Nathan's.
Did you do capture start?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Oh, you know what? I think we might need to. Could you click capture Nathan again?
Mhm.
And then wonder what. Hold on one second. Okay. So we're looking at EN0 is the name of the network interface. And I believe that's the right one for us to be looking at in your case. I think so. One second. Oh, you know what? It might not be. It might not be because we're doing local host to local host. Back. Okay, let's do something else. Let's try a different website. I'm going to give you another one to go to, and it is going to be on here. And let's change your filter, Nathan. Instead of 80, let's make it 80.
Okay.
In
One sec.
Wireshark. Yeah, and then hit enter on that if you would.
Come on.
And we're going to go to the link that I just pasted into the chat.
That one?
Yes, please. Cool. And let's go back to Wireshark. Haha. Okay. So the problem we were having is when a computer talks to itself, it actually never hits the network, which is smart of it to not do that.
What
Oh,
did
so
you
it
put
doesn't
in the
send
Wireshark?
back
I
its-
kind of missed that step.
So we just,
TCP.port equals 80. Sorry.
yeah, that's great. Go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I feel
Oh,
bad.
you're fine. In class, especially with Zoom, it's really hard to not cut people off when there's a little bit of a delay. It's no problem. I do it all the time. Was that Derek asking?
No, that was me. I still can't get it to go.
Okay, who's me? Sorry.
Jake.
Jake.
Okay, Jake, did you try the new URL that I pasted in?
Yeah, I did.
Cool.
But I just pulled it up on a browser, and then what do I do on the Wireshark part? Because it's still
Okay.
TCP port, all that.
Yeah, let's have you share your screen, Jake, if that's okay. Thank you, Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're going to change it instead of 8080. We're going to make it just 80. There you go, and hit enter on that. There you go.
Oh, got it to work. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So you can see the IP address. You're going back and forth between the same server. Do you see that? So every single line is either your IP or the server's IP. So your IP is 10.0.0.225. And then the server you're talking to is 3473.165.66.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now the
Mine
really
still has.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say mine still has no results.
Okay, and that's Derek? Do you want to
Yeah.
share your
Oh,
screen there?
yeah.
Okay, and then can you hit enter in that little filter bar? So type in there and then hit enter. And then can you click capture, the capture menu? Okay, it's running. That's good. And can you reload the web page behind you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I just did.
Oh,
I'll do
great.
it again.
Sorry, Zoom didn't let me see it. Okay. Okay, so good. So TCP.port equals 80, local area connection *9. Can you click capture again? The old way was a little different. You'd have to choose the interface, but they've made it smarter. In some ways it has less options though. Can you click capture filters? Okay. Can you click cancel on that? And then
It says it's not receiving any packets.
it says local area connection. I guess that's probably fine. I just have a hunch that it's looking at the wrong interface. One second. I'm just looking up how to specify the interface that's changed since I used it last. Okay, there's a drop down to the right of the green bar. Could you click the drop down arrow? Nothing there. Okay, thank you. I'll just keep looking for a second. Okay, could you do capture and then stop? Okay. Okay, now see how it has a list there? You've got all these different connections. All interfaces shown. Are you on Wi-Fi right now?
I am, yes.
Let's click Wi-Fi. And then can you do capture? Start. Packets, okay. And then can you reload the web page? Okay. You might want to apply that filter, yeah. Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Nice. So it was just using the wrong interface. And nowadays, most computers have like 8 or 9 of them, which is just crazy. And they're not all physical interfaces. A lot of them are virtual, but it's sometimes tricky to find the right one.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That was a good example. Anybody else stuck? Okay, who wants to share their screen next? We're gonna have someone else share for a minute. Could be anybody. So how about this? If you are awake and you haven't shared your screen yet, will someone volunteer to share their screen? But you have to be awake.
Quick question, Brother Murdoch. If this is all we're doing for the day, is it okay if we head out early if we're done, or is there more to do?
We're actually going to look at one more thing.
Okay,
Jason.
sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, that's fair. So we're going to try and drill into one of these packets and look at it a little further. Jeremy, do you mind sharing?
Sure, I'll share.
Cool. Okay, so let's look at, could you make your screen a little, or your, the
window bigger?
Yeah, that one. Thanks. Now, can you click on the line that says HTTP in the middle? Any of them that say HTTP under the protocol? Yeah, let's look at that. There you go. Yeah, and can you scroll down in there and then expand the very last one that says Hypertext Transfer Protocol and scroll down? Oh, interesting. Look at that. So we know you're running Ubuntu, and Ubuntu is doing a connectivity check for you. So it's calling a URL just to make sure your internet's up. And that's how it does it. I've always wondered how Ubuntu knows if you're on the internet or not, because it knows more than just if you're connected to the network. It can tell if you're connected to the internet. And I've always been curious how they do that. Now we know the answer.
So that's probably how the network manager will tell you that you're connected but not online.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of nifty. So if you look for the protocol HTTP, you can really drill in and it tells you everything that's going on. Now, if we were going over port 443, can anyone guess what things might look like a little bit different?
A little bit encrypted.
Let's try it. Should we try it?
I don't see any HTTP.
That's why would that be?
We're looking at port 80.
Oh, because we're looking at port 80.
Yeah, we just filtered it. So if you change the TCP.port to 443 instead, and then enter. There you go. Let's find one that says TLS V12. There you go. Click on that. Yeah, and then scroll down. And then click on the very last one. And down. And that's it, guys.
Doesn't give you much information.
Yeah.
So is this the actual bits and hex?
Yeah, that's the encrypted, to the right of where it says encrypted application data, that 2A49D.
Oh, that's the data. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah.
And I think it is below as well. I think you're seeing the same thing. That's just your encrypted packet. No idea what it has in it.
Oh, that's cool. So if you click on a section, it tells you where that's encoded at.
Oh, that is cool. Okay, yeah, so the 2A just starts there. Okay, I see it. Yeah, so this is what's actually visible over the wire when you do an SSL or HTTPS connection. Nothing. You can't really tell what it is. But you could see before, we could tell everything. The URL he was talking to, what data was being requested, everything that was going on. SSL is very, very secure in comparison to clear HTTP. Yeah, so that's why when you set up a website, you always want to use SSL, always. Any questions?
So what's like the practical use for this? So I can't get on YouTube and start sharking theirs or skimming packets or anything, right? I can't do that.
No.
So what would be a use case for this in the real world?
So,
like what position would I have to be in to be using something like this usefully?
Well, there are ways if you happen to have the certificate, the actual private key. So say you own the website in that case, you can actually decrypt the packets. So if you're troubleshooting your own network and communication to your own servers, you can actually use that certificate to decrypt the packets.
So the only time that I would be able to use something like this would be going back to YouTube. If I was working at YouTube headquarters in their networking department, then I could use something like this if I thought that there was a reason to, obviously.
Yeah.
And then I could use the private key to do everything else.
That's right. And another use case is, say your web server is talking to a database, like an Aurora database or MySQL database, and it's not encrypted traffic, which it should be ideally encrypted, but honestly, a lot of time it isn't. So any TCP connections, doesn't have to be HTTP, any network connections between any two devices, you can use this to troubleshoot the connection. And there are a lot of them that are not encrypted still. So, good question.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a great question.
Real quick question. What's the difference between TCP and UDP?
Great. Anyone know the answer to that? I want to answer it. Difference between UDP and TCP.
Sure. So TCP knows it's whether the data arrived or not, and it's if you need to make sure your data gets there intact. UDP is for speed, and it doesn't care whether the data arrives at the destination or not. So, like if you're watching a video, it'll usually be sent over UDP instead of TCP. Is that?
Yeah. Yeah, so UDP, it's not guaranteed delivery of the packet. TCP has a built-in retry mechanism where the protocol itself, it makes it possible to replay without you even knowing it, which is kind of nice.
So would you say that, so would you say that TCP would be used for just about any communication online? Like if you're sending like an email, if you're sending a file, or if you're downloading a file, you'd be using TCP?
Yeah, almost every network communication you have is over TCP. The reason people use UDP for stuff is for speed, because TCP has so much built-in overhead for the protocol. They find it to be more network efficient to use UDP for certain applications, but it's not the majority.
So like some things have you use both? Is that just so you have the security of having a fast one and one that you know works?
And what's an example that the one that you're thinking of?
Like a server, like a Plex server for movies or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so for Plex, you might, for example, you might have certain things that talk to the server over a TCP connection because, say it's like an API request or something, but then they might have the actual streaming go because they want the communication to the server, like you're asking the server to play a certain video, they might want that to get to the server no matter what. And then when it starts streaming packets for the frames for the actual video, if it misses a couple frames, it can actually just kind of, it can just, yeah, it doesn't actually matter.
That's cool. That actually makes sense. So
the nature of the request makes a huge difference. So say you were sending a request to your bank to transfer $500 from your savings to your checking so you don't get overdrawn on the rent tonight. Would you want that to be UDP or TCP?
TCP.
Yeah,
sure.
see, it's easy, right? It's easy to know. All you have to do is just think about it for a second.
Got it.
Decide which thing makes more sense.
So it's cool that they have the flexibility to use both. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, UDP is older than TCP, actually. I worked on UDP sockets right out of college, and it was very interesting. That's kind of fun. Good questions. Anything else? Well, good job, guys. And especially if you're awake, good job. And I hope you can get some rest. If you haven't had enough, take a nap. 15 minutes will make a huge difference. And have a good day. See you Wednesday.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
I'll see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. See ya.
See you, Stefan.
I was gonna ask. So you sent that email about how to fix the Redis,
Oh, yeah.
and I followed that. Like it seems like it's working as it should, but I did nothing to change it, so I don't know what was wrong with it before.
Oh, in the Redis conf file, you commented out the local bind localhost, or it was already commented.
Like I had already erased the hashtag before, before you sent the email, and like I changed nothing, and when I run the command you said at the end, the sudo netstat -lnp line grep redis,
Yeah.
it gave the same. It shows like the same result as what you had,
Oh, good.
but
That's
I know
weird.
like you weren't able to connect to it at that time.
Yeah, well, the thing is, so connecting to it from another server is very different than connecting to it from the same server. So you actually don't want to bind. So you don't want to bind to localhost, I don't think. I think my instructions were wrong. So if you want, so what happens is when something like Redis starts, it actually has to choose which network interfaces it's going to accept traffic from. So when we were looking at that, I don't know, was it you that had to choose Wi-Fi or was that someone else today?
Today, that's me, yeah.
Perfect. That's an excellent example. So when you went into Wireshark, it chose a default network that wasn't correct. That's why we weren't seeing any traffic. And when you start up Redis, Redis has to know which interface it's going to bind to so that it can know where to look for packets, just like Wireshark. So when you start Redis, the config file tells it literally which one to select. Just like you just chose Wi-Fi, the config file tells it which one to choose. So if you uncomment the bind 127.0.0.1 instruction, it actually will only watch what's called the loopback interface. The loopback interface is traffic to localhost, and that's all. And so it's ignoring any other TCP requests. So when I was trying to connect to your server from my server, it wasn't even watching it because it wasn't a request made from on the local host. Does that make sense?
Okay, so does the bind 127.0.0.1, does that actually need to be commented then?
Yeah, I think so. Wait, hold on. Wait, maybe I'm wrong. I'm reading this backwards, or am I reading it frontwards? I don't know. The Redis is only accessible from localhost. However, if you installed and configured Redis by following a different tutorial than this one, you might have updated the configuration file to allow connections from anywhere. This is not as secure as binding to localhost. Oh, yeah, so it shouldn't be like this. So that's, it shouldn't be like this. It should be commented out, I think. The hash sign comments it out.
So should have both of those commented out?
Oh, you're sharing. Okay. So bind, so 192.168.100. Interesting. I think you want to say bind 0.0.0.0. Yeah, 0.0.0. I think like that.
Do I need colons or no?
I don't think you need that. Yeah, I think that works. I think that'll do all network interfaces, including localhost. And then I think you
That's
have
still
to
working right.
say again.
Oh, I was just saying that still works as it was.
I think you have to restart it though. Systemctl Redis restart or something. Sudo system. Yeah. Okay. And then do your netstat again if you don't mind. There you go. So now the question is if I can hit your server from my machine, which I bet I can. Hold on 1 second. The other thing is, did we open up your firewall for port 6379? Did you guys do that already?
I
Oh,
believe so.
By the way, in Linux, it's ifconfig instead of ipconfig. Okay, so let me try connecting to your machine. And what was the password again?
The best password.
Okay, all uppercase?
Yeah.
Okay, 1 second. Just opening up something here. Second. Where's it? There. Redis CLI -H. And I've got to get your IP address here. 1 second. All right, and yours is Derek3, is that right?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. H P6379-A password. Ha! I'm in.
Sweet.
Yeah. That says yeah, it's given me, I can show you if you want to see what it looks like here. Share screen. So I just did this command. I'll paste this into the chat window. So that's the command. You have to have Redis installed on the machine that you're running that on for that Redis CLI to work. But you can install Redis on Windows. You can install it on any machine. So then you can see how now it has a command prompt and it has your IP address and the port number next to it.
Yeah.
So that means I'm logged in. So if I say keys ***, then there's 2 keys in the database. So
Okay.
yeah, that's another command I should probably give you is keys ***. Oops.
They pasted the same.
Keys ***, like that. Yeah, good job.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome. You got it working.
Oh, yeah. Well, have a good day.
You too, Derek. See you later.
See you.
Bye.